Gear up for Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. It's your final word on sports all across the state. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now here are your hosts, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
The whole world was watching. We haven't won down there in 10 years. So, it's one of the best, just overall team win, just to be able to, go down there and put that off.
So you got to have some results to feel the gratification of going out there and having the results. That why are we working so hard? We're doing it because we want this feeling, and this feels good. And it feels good for my teammates, and it feels good for my program and my school. And that locker room was a lot different locker room than we've had all year.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, and happy Halloween to you. Gosh, 80 degrees on Halloween. That's just a little strange in many, many ways. Welcome in, Phil Kornbluth, the Professor Tom Hayes, and Jared Rogers Martin. K-Mac, he is the empty chair tonight for those watching our television stream. He is the empty chair. He's got little ones. He's going trick-or-treating. In case you're wondering, as you look here into the studio, I am not wearing my custom Tom Cruise mask. That's just how I look these days. I look more and more like Tom Cruise as I become more seasoned. But anyway, hope you're having a great day. Looking forward to going out tonight and having some fun with the kiddies. And as you do, stay with us here on Sports Talk because we've got a fabulous Monday show. What a weekend it was. I was in Tallahassee. Pro was over at USC. Jarmart was at Charlotte. So we got angles on everything for you tonight that you can only get here on Sports Talk. And what a weekend it was. If you're a Clemson fan or a Gamecock fan, Pro, everybody is happy today. I mean, South Carolina got what they think is that breakthrough, maybe turnaround win against Tennessee. And Clemson got another impressive road win against a quality opponent to maintain their spot high up in the national rankings and also make sure that they remain on track for a spot in the playoffs with the first rankings coming out tomorrow night.
Yeah, it was interesting. I thought South Carolina, for the first time as a team from a emotional standpoint, played winning football. It's almost as soon as Tennessee hit them with a salvo, they answered back. And that's the key to wanting to win. I did get back home to see the last 9 minutes of the Clemson game, and I thought Clemson on their winning drive tore a page out of Alabama's book and started using the tight end for a change.
Yeah. Great play calling there by the Clemson offense down the stretch. Great play calling by Brent Venables on the defensive side on that last series by Florida State. So the Tigers took care of their business. They remain undefeated. And again, as things look now, here's what you need if you're a Clemson fan. I mean, I know a lot of you have deep pockets, and maybe you want to go back to Arizona. But, you got to wish for a couple things here, really. Number one, you got to hope your team keeps on winning, all right, and stays way up in the polls to the point where if Alabama can somehow lose, then the Tigers can slide into number one and be in that position to go to Atlanta and not have to go out to Glendale. Right now, as things stand, if they're 2 or 3 and Alabama stays 1, Alabama is going to be sent to Atlanta, and they'll play the number 4 team. And that means the other 2 teams are going to go to Glendale for the Fiesta Bowl. So I'm just saying, and I'm sure you don't mind if you're a Clemson fan where they send you. I'm just thinking from a budgetary standpoint, a lot of people blew their budgets for a long time on that national championship trip. And I wonder how many would skip the semifinals in hopes of just going to Tampa for the national championship game.
Skip. But here's the interesting thing. You almost caught in a conundrum, Cohen, because a lot of people are hoping, and I know Clemson fans are, I want another shot at Alabama. But when do I want that shot? Do I want it in the championship game, or if you had your druthers, and I think it'll work out for it, say if a Michigan gets into the Final Four, you could have a quasi Rose Bowl by sticking the Big Ten champion against maybe an undefeated Washington team in Arizona and have Clemson and Alabama in Atlanta, but then that's the semifinals. So I think Clemson wants Bama in the championship game, not the semifinals. But if you're going for a championship, you take them when you can get them.
Well, I'm sure the team could care less whether they play in Glendale or they play in Atlanta in the semifinals. They'll be treated to first-class accommodations.
Yes.
Now, the semifinals, too, that's a bowl trip. The semifinals is the Fiesta Bowl. So you go out there for the week. It's not like – see, the national championship game, that's a short trip.
Right.
You go out there. I think we were out there a couple of days in advance. The teams were out there a couple of days in advance, and there aren't a bunch of festivities around it. But the semifinals are built around bowl trips. So that's a whole week-long, if not longer, experience for everybody. So I don't know. I was kind of convinced early on that Clemson would be in this part of the country, Atlanta and Tampa. But now the way things are starting to shape up, the projections are right now, at least one by Jerry Palms. He's got Clemson playing in the semifinals out in Glendale. By the way, Jerry Palms also has South Carolina in a bowl game, the Texas Bowl in Houston, playing Oklahoma State. If the Gamecocks get to 6-6, which with that win yesterday, it puts them now. It's truly on them. They control their own bowl destiny. The simplest way to do it: beat Missouri, and then take care of Western Carolina. And then if you happen to beat Florida or Clemson, all that does is, of course, makes you feel good, and it elevates your bowl status. You're kind of in the bottom tier of the bowls right now. So what you can do, if you secure that bowl bid, of course, you can't secure the bowl bid until you win 2 more games. I mean, listen, beat Missouri and beat Florida, and then beat Western Carolina, and all of a sudden you're sitting there with 7 wins going to Clemson. Who would have ever thought that? Now, I'm not going to say they're going to go down and beat Florida, though Florida is, a bit offensively challenged, and their defense is great, but their offense is still a little suspect right now. And all of a sudden, South Carolina's offense under Heisman Trophy candidate Jake Bentley, is it too soon to start a Heisman campaign for Jake Bentley?
Yes.
He wears number 4, just like the guy up the road.
But it's interesting.
They look at him as Superman now in Columbia, just like the guy up the road.
Well, just wait to see what his kryptonite is. It was almost like Blitz Saturday night. But, hey, go to the Texas Bowl and have your big alumnus in Robert McNair, who owns the Texans, kind of take a little special care for you while you're out there in Houston.
He would probably do that. And you'd have Clowney out there as well to take you over to his stadium and show you his whatever he lives in out there in Houston. But you know what? There's still a month of football to go. And as we know, a lot of crazy things can and will happen. Michigan and Ohio State are going to play at the end of the season, so one of those is going to get bumped. Clemson faces no such kind of competition down the stretch in terms of another highly ranked team. They've got Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest, and USC. Of those 4 right now, I would say Pittsburgh, even though they lost to Virginia Tech, they've got a really good offense, a suspect defense. South Carolina's coming on some rivalry game. It is up at Death Valley. You would still pick Clemson. You look at Washington. They still have to play Washington State at the end of the year, which is also undefeated.
Yes.
In the Pac-12. I'm not sure about the rest of their schedule off the top of my head. I know you watched the Pac-12.
I watched the Pac-12, but I think probably they won't hit in Southern Cal. They still have. And then, of course, they got to play a championship game. But if they play like they're doing now, if I'm not mistaken, they still will play the championship game at the team with the best record. So they may get that championship game in Seattle.
And then you talk about Alabama, and, of course, they go to LSU this Saturday night, which, that can always be a little dicey. They get Mississippi State at home for a noon kickoff. They're going to make Alabama have a noon kickoff at home.
That's why if you're a Clemson fan, you're rooting for the team in the other Death Valley to knock off Alabama.
Well, and then there's still Auburn. They get Auburn at home.
Yeah.
But, I mean, listen, Auburn, you have to say right now, as you just quickly scan around the country, I guess Washington's probably the most improved, but Auburn, the way they're playing right now, they are not far behind. We'll be right back here on Sports Talk. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Very busy show. If you'd like to join in, we invite your inputs. 800-956-7266. Our email, talkback@sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. Who are you dressed up as tonight? You're dressed up as a pirate, aren't you?
I'm dressed up as a pirate, but then again, I play a pirate when I'm not on television.
Mm-hmm. And Jarmark, you're dressed up as what for Halloween?
I was a teapot.
A tempest?
Teapot.
You were a teapot.
I was a teapot.
You mean as a?
Here's my handle and here's my spout, and then I just shrieked like a teapot.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. Go back to whatever you were doing. All right, 800-956-7266. Got a lot of notes to get to on a very busy Monday. Let me run through some of this stuff. Then we'll give you our good, bad, and ugly from the weekend. Let's begin with, the ACC issued reprimands of Florida State coach Jimbo Fisher and Pitt coach Pat Narduzzi for violating sportsmanship policy following their games over the weekend and back on Thursday. Florida State, $20,000 fine. Pitt, a $5,000 fine. Fisher really upset on that chop block that was called that wiped out Cook's run. Mm-hmm. You know, I could see his point. It was a real close call, judgment call. I can understand if it had gone the other way, if it were Clemson and that had happened on them, they'd be upset about it too. I could see it going either way. And he let them know about it after the game. So Tennessee comes in to Columbia, loses, and now their previously best running back, Jalen Hurd, apparently plans to transfer now from Tennessee after not having a good year. And this is being reported by media there in the Knoxville area. This just tells you most college football programs, not every, but most college football programs are put together like an old sweater, and they will come apart at the seams when you least expect it.
Just remember which thread not to yank on.
I'm telling you, it's just, very few hold it together. And here comes Tennessee just falling apart. They're going to blame Butch Jones, of course, and they've had a ton of injuries. There's no doubt about it. They played a tough schedule in the first half of the season, and they weren't up to the challenge, except for that Georgia game. Let's see. Players of the week. We got a bunch of them here to tell you about. From the ACC, Clemson's Tyrone Crowder, the offensive lineman, and Clemson's Jordan Leggett, the receiver. From the SEC, USC's Jamarcus King is the defensive back of the week. Also, from the South Atlantic Conference, Newberry quarterback Raleigh Yeldell is the offensive player of the week again. 5th time in his career, 4th time this season. He was 35 of 46, 428 yards, and 4 touchdowns, and only played 3 quarters. Newberry had 729 yards of offense in their win over Lenoir-Rhyne, 53-14. They've got a share, at least a share, of the SAC championship, first time since 2008. Southern Conference Special Teams Player of the Week is David Howerton from Wofford. He recovered a fumble in the end zone for a Wofford touchdown in the win over East Tennessee States. He's a backup quarterback for the Terriers, but getting it done there. Let's see what else. Let's see. Okay, game times. USC Florida. CBS is using its 6-day window for November 12th. So USC Florida game time is on hold. We do know Mississippi State at Alabama will be at noon, and Vanderbilt, Missouri will be on the SEC network at 3:30. Everything else is on hold there with the 6-day window. Back to Newberry, the Wolves season finale with Wingate at home November 12th will be televised by the American Sports Network as part of the Division II football showcase. Also, Newberry, a lot of Newberry news today because they're having a great year and they're doing some special things. And in the rankings this week in Division II, Newberry is up to number 20. This is in the Coaches Association, American Football Coaches Association, Division II poll. Newberry at 8-1 is number 20 this week. Northwest Missouri State is still number 1, and Newberry in the regional ranking is up to number 3 this week. So, again, the Wolves just having that great year, and we'll see how long they can keep it going into the postseason. Last year, of course, they had to go to North Alabama. Maybe this year they will earn a home game and won't have to travel, and that will be to their benefit. Let's see, the FCS poll for this week, the media poll, and the Citadel hanging in there at number 5. Can the Citadel win a national championship this year? They're hanging in there at number 5. Charleston Southern right there, too, at number 8. Coastal Carolina at number 18. Sam Houston State still number 1. By the coaches, the Citadel moves no. The coaches dropped them a spot. What? They're number 7 by the coaches. And Charleston Southern stays the same at number 9. And, of course, the coaches don't rank Coastal because they're in transition to FBS. All right, the AP preseason basketball poll, Duke, 58 first-place votes. Kentucky got 2. So Duke is 1, Kentucky's 2. Then it's Kansas, Villanova, Oregon, North Carolina, Xavier, Virginia, Wisconsin, and Arizona in the top 10. By the way, USC freshman guard Rakeem Felder, who's applying for PTI following his arrest on misdemeanor charges, he does remain indefinitely suspended by the USC basketball program until that thing sorts itself out. Okay, and I think we've covered all the major notes. We got recruiting coming up for you, too. Any other notes we run across, we'll pass along to you. Oh, you know what? I'll give you in the next half hour the award winners for the Palmetto Champion Awards for this year. There's not going to be a banquet because the season has been pushed back 2 weeks because of the hurricane. So there'll be no banquet, but they are going to recognize the players and the coaches. We'll give you that list coming up. We'll do good, bad, and ugly in a couple of minutes, but let's go to the phones, 800-956-7266. Glenn in North Charleston, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
Enjoying the day and Halloween and everything, and
What are you dressed up as?
myself.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
you can't be no scarier than that.
yeah. I was going to say it's scary enough, huh?
Yeah, it's scary enough.
Mhm.
So we got the lights off. That'll tell you something.
I'm sorry.
I said we have the lights off. If that'll
Oh,
tell
you got the
anything.
lights off. Okay.
Right.
You don't want any visitors.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. What's on your
But
mind?
but anyway, I'm proud of South Carolina where they came back and won, and they needed that confidence. Everybody thought they was going to score over 20 points. Here we are this week and last week score over 20 points. I'm a little confident that we should win next week with Missouri. We should, I'd say, by a touchdown. And Western Carolina shouldn't be a problem. That should be a bowl eligible. Kind of worried about Florida and Clemson, of course, but it'll be a jewel if we could beat Clemson. That'd be a great season for Mr. Muschamp.
Well, I think that you know who would well, maybe some people thought the Gamecocks could be 4-4 at this point. All right, maybe because you think they thought they're going to beat Kentucky or they're going to beat Mississippi State. Really, as you look at it now, Kentucky has got a good team. They're putting it together. They're playing well. Yeah, Mississippi State is struggling, but at the time, Mississippi State played a great game against South Carolina. So, I mean, you're 4-4, and you should feel happy about that. Like I said at the beginning of the year for Gamecock fans, if you pay any attention to us, keep your expectations low and your satisfaction high. And I think that's the case for most people. They understood what this season was going to be about. So now you've got a chance to get to 5-4, which would be fantastic. Anything that avoids a losing season and gets you bowl qualified is a fantastic year. And Muschamp deserves Coach of the Year consideration. He won't get it because probably Malzahn at Auburn is probably going to get SEC Coach of the Year.
Kentucky wins the East.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, all right, we'll be right back. Thanks for the call. Welcome back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network here on a Monday night. Hope you had a wonderful weekend with the victories by the teams around the state. Those fans certainly had great weekends, no doubt about it. A lot of teams in the state won. Just thinking who lost off the top of my head, Presbyterian lost to Coastal, Benedict lost.
State lost by 2 points.
State lost up at Hampton. That's a disappointing defeat for the Bulldogs.
And it was a missed extra point that cost them because they had to chase that extra point, and they went for 2 and couldn't get it.
Limestone lost 2. I think everybody else won. And we're brought to you by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. Let's go back to your phone calls. Good, bad, and the ugly coming up. Deshaun Watson coming up as well. Also some Will Muschamp for you. Stephen Ladson. Hello, Steve. Welcome into Sports Talk.
That's me.
Yes, sir.
Hey, guys. Just wanted to call. First, I want to give my 2 teams big props this weekend. I'm a diehard Cowboys fan and diehard Clemson fan, and both my boys were in prime time, and both of them pulled out tough wins that they probably deserve to lose, but win all the same. But I guess I wanted to talk about Clemson there, and I just wanted to say it's funny because there are some Clemson fans, especially when you look on message boards and things like that sometimes I think it frustrates me how sometimes they can kind of take for granted what's going on with the program and complain about them not playing their best and this and that. But at the end of the day, not only they 8-0, but obviously they haven't lost a regular season game since 2014. Have so many streaks that you can name going on right now. And not only did that, but then they won in Auburn for the first time since 1960 something. Won in Atlanta since the first time since 2003, and now won in Tallahassee. Not only the first or the second time since they joined the ACC, but first in 10 years. So pretty impressive. So great. I was really happy to see Dabo add that to his resume, which is obviously one of the best in the country, it seems like. But really, really proud of them. They did play. They definitely deserve to lose at times, but at the same time, they won it when it mattered most. And I mean, Watson just showed yet again that even when he struggles in the first half or first 3 quarters even of the game, he really has ice water in his veins when it comes to winning the game at the very end. But just wanted to, say that, and then, have a good day and have a happy Halloween.
Yeah, same to you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, listen, Watson had another not a great game because of the 2 picks, and the 2 picks led to 14 points, and they weren't good throws. I don't know, he just didn't see the coverage or what, but he battled back from that. He did not let that get them down. That's the thing about Clemson, and that's what makes them so dangerous. They can give you points, they can set you up, but they're so good on offense that they can come right back and get those points back. And, there was a time there when Florida State was starting to dominate that game. They were starting to crease Clemson, get to the outside. Cook was breaking off long runs, and it looked like Florida State might get that win. But, Clemson came up big in the fourth quarter, and that last drive was a thing of beauty because they had really, I guess, held that back for that time. They had not gone to Jordan Leggett during the game. And then all of a sudden, bang, 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 they're in the end zone. And then, of course, defensively, they came up big on that last series, which takes me to tonight's edition of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Let's get to that here on Sports Talk as Pro and I share with you our thoughts on what we thought were good, bad, and ugly from over the weekend from what we saw. Okay, it has to be what we witnessed, not what we heard, not what we were told. All right. First of all, the good. And I hearken back to Brent Venables and the defensive calls on that last possession. Defensive coaches, most of them like to sit back in that soft zone and protect deep and let a team move down the field and end up stealing a game from you. He was not going to do that. He kept the pressure on Francois. They knew Francois was hurting, that he would not be very mobile on that last series. They knew where they could find him. So he kept the pressure up and had the game in, for all intent and purposes, 2 sacks, back-to-back sacks. Great calls by Venables. The bad, for me, the Falcons' last drive. Really stunk. I knew it was going to happen. I knew we scored too soon, and I knew we couldn't stop them. Inevitable. That's my bad. My ugly, the Georgia offense. My goodness, 164 yards. Where are you, Mark Richt? 164 yards, Chubb carries the ball 9 times. You talk about a team in disarray. Who would have thought at this stage of the season on the elevators that USC's elevator would be going up and Georgia's elevator would be going down via express? It is really – and they still have to play Auburn. They still have to play Georgia Tech. Hello, Kirby. How are you?
The bread and butter. Well, my good, bad, and ugly. The good of, I guess, the maturation of South Carolina's young players, especially on offense, when you looked at Bentley, Debo Samuel, Edwards, and the running back, Rico Dowdle. Those four, they form a strong nucleus for the future of South Carolina's offense. The bad, I rarely get on fans, but I have to. Now, I understand you wanted Muschamp to be aggressive, but he was running out the clock at the 21-yard line. Had not Ulrich Jones gotten the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty and they moved the ball back to the 21, I think it was, from the 39, they may have gotten aggressive. But you got a 14-7 lead and young players are leaving the field. Boo. No.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, you're right. That's an excellent bad. That was a very I heard that. I'm watching on television, and I'm thinking to myself, what are they doing? Seriously, what? You're beating Tennessee, and you've got and you're booing the – go ahead. What's your ugly?
And the ugly, I'll go to London again. I hate these games overseas and a tie when field goal kickers can't hit chip shot field goals, which is the length almost of the new extra point. And you have Cincinnati and Washington ending up in a 27-27 tie. That's my ugly. Okay,
very good. The good, the bad, and the ugly from this past weekend, courtesy of your friends here at Sports Talk. Deshaun Watson, I want you to hear some of what he had to say after the game the other night. It was a big win. I want to bring you a little bit of his comments. As I said, he had another really good game. You can't put it in the great category because for 2 reasons. Number one, we probably expect too much out of him on a game-to-game basis. But number two, again, he would probably tell you that those 2 interceptions he threw were his bad and should not have happened. Still, his numbers, he still finished 27 of 43, 378, 2 touchdowns, and he rushed for 52 yards. Okay, that's a good day's work. And here's what he thought after the game Saturday night about the Tigers going in there and winning for the first time in 10 years.
Personally, I feel like all the wins are big. But, it's always good to, especially go down there, primetime game at night. The whole world is watching. We haven't won down there in 10 years. So, it's one of the best, just overall team win, just to be able to, go down there and pull that off.
The mindset of the offensive unit as you guys took the field that last touchdown drive, what you guys talked about prior walking up that. Let's
just go win the game. And, players make plays. And, this is what we are built for. We practice this every Wednesday. Being down or, being up, depending on the situation and having the opportunity to go win the game and solidify the win.
You guys are traveling back, when you meet up again. Have you talked amongst yourselves at all about just some of the crazy endings, the crazy nature of the way these games are gone, or has it just kind of been business as usual?
Not just business, just trying to find a way to win, and that's what we always talk about. No matter what the scoreboard is like at the end, as long as Clemson on top, and we find a way to win. That's all that matters. And our goal was to be 1-0 last week, and we was that. So, we celebrated, win. We watch it on Sundays, and then Mondays regroup and go on to the next opponent.
Does it add to the special nature?
All right, correction on my part. That audio is from today, not from Saturday nights. That is Deshaun Watson from meeting with the media today up at Clemson, and we'll be right back. Back we are, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, and whether you're a part of Gamecock Nation or you bleed Clemson Orange, everyone can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union with a convenient location at the Russell House at USC and their new location on Highway 93 in Clemson, now open. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union, insured by NCUA. By the way, I guess he'll be asked tomorrow about it. Will Muschamp. There was a rumor put out on Twitter today about Sky Moore and talk of him playing this year, coming back and playing this year. I don't know if that thing has been squashed or has grown any legs or anything like that. The only reason in my head that I would think that Sky Moore, if he's healthy and cleared to play, would want to come back this year and play out the rest of the season is because he's not going to come back next year.
That's correct.
That'd be the only logical reason. Maybe that's the case. He's older. He's been through a neck injury once. He's probably got people in his ear saying, hey, man, do you want to go ahead and finish out this year and show the pros what you have, and then it looks like the team's going to go to a bowl game, enjoy the swag you get there, and then get ready for the combine and go on. And maybe there's some truth to it. I don't know. I saw some of the websites that follow South Carolina tweeting that stuff. Again, I don't know. But I guess Muschamp can answer that question tomorrow if it's not verified between now and then. But something to keep an eye on at South Carolina. All right, to recruiting. Offensive lineman Kayron Calvert of McMinnville, Tennessee, was at USC for his official visit over the weekend. Got a chance to see two of his favorites, USC and Tennessee. Said he had a great visit. Said South Carolina looked great to him as far as how they played. Got a chance to talk to Muschamp and Sean Elliott and his recruiter, Bobby Bentley. They told him that they really need him, not that they want him, but they need him. Of course, he's got a Tennessee offer, and to get to Columbia from where he lives, you have to drive through Knoxville on I-40. He says the travel's not an issue for him. It's not going to factor in. If he wants to go to South Carolina, the extra distance is not going to make that much of a difference to him. But he did say getting a Tennessee offer was also big for him. He has not set up any other officials. He plans to with Tennessee, Florida, and Louisville. Could go all the way to signing day. 2017 defensive back Tyler Banks of Winder, Georgia, was at USC for the Tennessee game. He said he really liked it, had a great time. He camped at USC last summer. He's also been to Clemson, Georgia Tech, and Auburn for games. He's not received any offers at this point. He said coaches are telling him to finish the season strong, and then they'll see what happens after that. 2018 tight end Jacob Warren of Knoxville was at USC Saturday night. He talked to his recruiter, Bobby Bentley. Said he had a great time, a positive impression. No offers yet for him, but the whole recruiting process is just getting started. 2018 running back from Fairburn, Georgia, planned to be at USC for Tennessee. 2018 athlete Courtney McKinney of Bisco, North Carolina, was offered by USC. He just recently committed to Appalachian State. 2020 quarterback Luke Doty of Myrtle Beach was at USC Saturday. USC commitment defensive back Hamza Nasir Ildeen took an official visit to Florida State over the weekend. He told the Florida State 24/7 site that he is still firmly committed to USC. Clemson 2018 quarterback target Trevor Lawrence of Cartersville, Georgia, will be at LSU Saturday. This according to 24/7. He had planned to go to Michigan State this past weekend. That visit was nixed. He'll return to Georgia in 2 weeks for the Auburn game. He's also been to Clemson for a game this season. 2018 offensive lineman Jaleel Irvin of Stone Mountain, Georgia, plans to be at Clemson Saturday. He's a former Michigan commitment. Clemson offered 2018 defensive end Brent Cox of Stockbridge, Georgia. They were already in his top 10. 2017 offensive lineman Tony Gray of Loganville, Georgia. He was at USC Saturday night. Basketball, 6'4", Clyde Trapp Jr. of Lower Richland made an official visit to Charlotte over the weekend. He's also been to Rice and to USC. He is scheduled to visit Georgia Tech this weekend. Tiger Illustrated reported that he's going to visit Clemson officially this weekend, but then Trapp reached out to us and said that was not true, that he's not visiting this weekend. So we'll have to wait and see. At least he's not planned right now for visiting Clemson this weekend. He did not confirm if he's going to Georgia Tech or not. Charlotte is making a huge push for him, of course, with Mark Price, the coach there. And in South Carolina also has been pretty strong with him as well. But the Gamecocks are also looking hard at 6'3" David Beatty of Philadelphia. He made his official to USC Thursday through Saturday with his mother, and he said he had a really good time, good facilities, good people. He hung out a lot with P.J. Dozier, and he said everything that Frank Martin laid out for him sounded good. His style of play is his style of play. And he said that they actually needed him because they need a big-time scoring guard and that he could provide them with everything that they need, is what he was told. He also said they told him he was a priority, and they're going to wait and see what his decision is going to be. He has also taken an official visit to Georgetown. He's going to visit Indiana this coming weekend. No other visits are planned, but he's also considering Michigan State, Texas, Texas Tech, Virginia, and UCLA. He has been to UCLA and Virginia. He said his commitment could be made within the next couple of weeks. Of course, the signing period for basketball, the early signing period, begins a week from Wednesday. He does not have a favorite. The father of Zion Williamson in Spartanburg clarified for us on Saturday, after we had said that South Carolina had not been in regular contact with his son, based on what he knew. He clarified for us that indeed South Carolina is still talking regularly with Zion Williamson about every couple of days. They're going to visit North Carolina this coming weekend. Pittsburgh was to be in to see 6'10" Felipe Haas of Miami today, according to the Panthers' rival site. Haas visited Pitt and Purdue last week. He is scheduled to visit Louisville this week and USC this weekend. And in baseball, Clemson got a commitment over the weekend from 2019 right-hander Nick Hoffman of Cincinnati. That'll do it for now in recruiting, but always check it out on our website, sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter. Use the hashtag #STRecruiting. While I'm thinking about it, let me get into the Palmetto Champion Award winners to this point and tell you who are the winners from the upper and lower state in the categories. And then they will announce the statewide winners in a couple of weeks. So in 5A, in upper state, the back is Lummy Young of Westside, and the lineman is Patrick Wofford of Malden. In the lower state, the back is Ortre Smith of Wando, and the lineman is Sean Moore of Spring Valley. 4A upper state, back is Shai Smith of Union County, and the lineman is Noah Hannon of Greer. Lower state, the back is Darius Douglas of Berkeley, and the lineman is Will Register of Chapin. 3A upper state back is DeMarco Jackson of Broome, and the lineman is Brad Johnson of Pendleton. Lower state back is Cameron Bent of Bluffton, and the lineman is Jermaine McDaniel of Dillon. 2A upper state back is Malik Brooks of Saluda, and the lineman is Ryan Putman of Christ Church. In the lower state, the back is Tyreek Steele of Andrews, and the lineman is Byron Young of Carvers Bay. In 1A, the upper state back is Ricardo Wright of McBee, and the lineman is Gene Thompson of Louisville. And the lower state back is Dwayne Nichols of Lakeview, and the lineman is Jacob Springs of Greensea Floyds. The specialist in 5A, the punter, is Presley Harvin of Sumter. In 4A, it's kicker and returner Brandon Peppers of Daniel. In 3A, kicker Austin Snow of Powdersville. And in 2A, the kicker DeQuan Carr of Carvers Bay. Nothing in 1A. Your 5A upper state coach is David Pierce of Northwestern. Lower state, Mark Morris of Carolina Forest. 4A upper state, Perry Parks of Ridgeview. Lower state, Russell Zier of Cane Bay. 3A upper state, Doug Shaw of Palmetto. Lower state, Chad Leapart of Gilbert. 2A upper state, Doug Chisholm of Blacksburg. Lower state, Justin Danner of Lee Central. 1A upper state, Vic Lawless of Dixie. And lower state, Jamie Johnson of Hannah Pamplico. Congratulations to everybody, and we'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
I tell you, who came up with the idea? I know who came up with it. They should be shot. I hope when they get some candy tonight, it's not very pleasant for them. These people that came up with the idea of these recruits announcing on videos that you have to, these silly videos where they're, in this case, it was a Halloween theme. I'll tell you, the one that was really impressive, though, was the kid that committed to Clemson out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, the receiver, T. Higgins. And July 4th was the setting, and they had the rockets going off, forming a tiger paw in the sky. It was very neat. But anyway,
I like the Notre Dame guy chained to the bus. Pull the bus.
Is he playing any this year? That big old lineman, Boudreaux. His last name was Boudreaux, I think. Remember him down of Florida? Big guy. But anyway, this now KJ Britt from Oxford, Alabama, a guy that USC recruited. And Bleacher Report did this. Don't they have anything better to do?
No.
So anyway, this was a Halloween theme announcement where the doorbell rings and different little kids come to the door wearing the colors of each of the individual schools.
Oh, God.
At the very end, a little blonde-headed boy walks up there and he goes, "Hey, who are you?" I'm Coach Gus. Okay, here's some candy. And then he closes out by saying War Eagle. So anyway, KJ Britt commits to Auburn tonight over Georgia. Another defeat for Georgia. My goodness, what a program out of control. Spiraling downward at a alarming. Can't stand it, can you, Jarmart? Can't stand it.
They'll come back. They'll come back. The days of Mark Richt are done.
You're going to lose to Kentucky.
And it's okay. When Mark Richt just came,
wait a minute. Time out. Okay, it's okay.
I'm not pulling the fire alarm.
So a Georgia fan over here, admitted Georgia fan, you fired a coach who in 15 years averaged 10 wins a season. Yeah. To hire a coach,
I stand by it.
To hire a coach who this year is going to win how many games?
I'm just hoping for a bowl, really, right?
Oh gosh!
Wow.
What a bunch of dummies!
What I say, Mark Richt didn't come in there.
You know what?
You get on fire.
You get what you deserve. All right.
No.
I only wish that Richt wasn't losing at Miami because that would make it even more painful for Georgia fans.
I'm so glad that that's not happening.
I know you are.
When I watched the Virginia Tech Miami game, my heart was just pounding when I saw a 37-14 score.
Mm-hmm.
And I just walked up to a group of people with Virginia Tech colors and just said, "Thank you."
Yeah.
Thank you.
Saved you from further embarrassment. All right. Welcome back into Sports Talk. 800-956-7266 is our number. David Shelton coming up in a little bit. We'll have our high school football report. If you'd like to join us to talk about USC's win, Clemson's win, and what's ahead, 800-956-7266, the number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Use the, you can reach us on Twitter @SportsTalkSC. Our poll question of the week is as follows on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Now 4-4, USC will finish 8-4, 7-5, 6-6, 5-7, or 4-8. What do you think, Pro?
I'd say 6-6.
Mm-hmm. 65% of the respondents say 6-6. A brave 21% say 7-5. A worried 8.3% say 5-7. What's the good word here? A demented 4.4% say 8-4. Because you got to be crazy to think the Gamecocks going to win out. And then a depressed just under 1% say they're going to finish 4-8. Those are probably a couple of Clemson fans throwing that in there. But yeah, 6-6 seems like the likely finish. But as you know, in this crazy world, look at this past Saturday. How many unbeatens went down?
4.
With upset losses. Yeah, so crazy
All
things.
on the road, I think.
Crazy things can happen. Will Muschamp, of course, very excited about the win on Saturday night in front of a big crowd, nighttime crowd, great setting, had a lot of recruits. It was an opportunity to really impress a group of recruits in town. It's the kind of setting that USC needs. Nighttime is obviously their best setting. And winning a game, winning cures everything. No matter what ails you, beating UMass cured a lot of things for USC, and then beating Tennessee really healed them up. Here is some of what Muschamp had to say after the big win. We bring this to you because it was just such a big win. You may look back on this in 5 or 10 years and say, hey, this is where Will Muschamp put his handprints, fingerprints all over the program and turned this thing around. Here's what he had to say.
What a great win for our football team, for our program. Our fan base was amazing. It was an electric atmosphere. You could feel the energy when we pulled up to Gamecock and everybody's lined up ready to roll. And we appreciate that. We're a different team at home in my short time here as far as how our guys approach and play. And I don't think that's a good thing. We need to be the same all the time. But there's certainly our fan base has a tremendous effect on us and how we go about our business, and I'm just really proud of them. I'm proud of our players. I told them at the end of the game, just continue to invest, continue to have some belief, continue to have confidence in what we're doing, and some good things are going to happen. When they're going to happen, I can't sit there and tell you that. Life's difficult. Life's not fair. But if you'll just continue to do the things we're asking you to do, we know what good looks like, and we're going to get there. And they continue to do that, and our guys played their guts out tonight. We made some silly mistakes as far as some celebration and things. Those issues, they'll be dealt with. I'm disappointed in that, but it's like I said on the headsets. One of the coaches was complaining. I said, "Hell, we ain't never been in this position." So, but we plan on it being in here a lot, and we got to enjoy tonight and put this one behind us and play another great home game against Missouri at 4:00 on SEC Network. So we're very pleased with our guys' effort and our buy-in. You get 3 and 4, and you're getting beat up left and right and all that good stuff, or 2 and 4, whatever it was, and for our guys to continue to fight says a lot about the players we have on this team, but also says a lot about our staff. Our staff is stuck together. We have a very good coaching staff here. These guys do a fantastic job, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Will, you mentioned earlier in the week how these games have been close the past 4 years and how you mentioned that to your team. Did you sense that you guys were close to breaking through and that you might be on the cusp of doing that?
Well, again, I've been around weeks of practice where we practiced really, really good, and we stunk on game day. And I've been around weeks that we didn't practice really good, and I'm sitting there going into the game thinking, man, I hope this thing turns around and we go play an outstanding game. So we had a really good week, probably our best week of preparation. And I told the guys early in the week, this game's going to come down to the fourth quarter. I felt that way all along. And I told them we're going to have to finish. I said the word for the week is finish. We got to go finish the game. We're going to be in an opportunity. We've got to finish. We didn't finish Georgia. We didn't finish Texas A&M. I mean, we had opportunities in those games. You've got to learn to finish when you have an opponent. We didn't finish against UMass. At the end of the day, for defensively, we stunk. So you got to learn to finish in these games, and you got to learn to make plays in these games and get some of the bull yards and knock a guy back and get the ball off somebody and create a break or two. We've got a 17-7 game, and we let them out of the sack with a kickoff return. Those are things that we need to correct moving forward as a coach. That's just the way I look at it. So, but no, our guys, the effort and the enthusiasm and the mental urgency and energy they had was outstanding all week, and I think you saw a product of that on game day.
All right, Will Muschamp, a few comments from him after the game Saturday. Good stuff. You can really hear the excitement in his voice and the passion in his voice, seeing some results of the hard work that they have put in now. I mean, that's what it's all about. And like he said, his players are buying in now, and winning helps in convincing them to buy in.
First thing I did was when that clock went 3 zeros, I looked in the assistant coach's box. Everybody was in there hugging. I mean, it was almost like a relief they pulled us off.
Well, I think they realized just how big the win is. I mean, let's face it, Tennessee is just one of those teams you love to beat if you're South Carolina. Back in a moment. South Carolina Forestry Commission reminds you insects and diseases can be moved hundreds of miles in firewood and threatened forests and campsites, neighborhoods, state and national parks. You can protect the trees you love by purchasing firewood at or near where you burn it. For more information, visit don'tmovefirewood.org. All right, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. I want to give you the latest playoff national championship odds and Heisman odds, courtesy of Bovado in Vegas. It's my favorite sports book. When I lose money, I lose it at Bovado. That's my commercial sponsorship for them. When I take my shirt off and throw it away, it's at Bovado. So Alabama's still 8-5 to win it all. Clemson goes from 7-1 to 5-1. Ohio State from 9-2 to 5-1. Michigan from 6-1 to 11-2. So obviously they think Ohio State's going to beat Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Louisville stays 9-1, as does Washington. The Heisman Trophy, your front runner is Lamar Jackson, 1-3, remains unchanged. Jabril Peppers, the hot name, from 15-2 to 9-2, as is Deshaun Watson. He moved the same thing, 15-2 to 9-2. Jake Browning goes from 10-1 to 20-1.
Quarterback at Washington.
Mm-hmm. JT Barrett's 33-1, as is Jalen Hurts. Dalvin Cook is 50-1 to win the Heisman. All right, back to the phones we go. And it is Billy in Greenville up with us next here on Sports Talk. Hello, Billy. How are you?
Fine. Looking at the quarterback situation at USC, do you think it would have been better to have redshirted McElwain or?
No, you're doing the old 2020 hindsight deal.
Yeah, they had no choice but to play McElwain.
Yes.
I mean, because they had no other quarterback ready behind Perry Orth. You know, the competition was between McElwain and Orth. And remember, McElwain enrolled in school early, so he got the full complement of the winter workouts, spring practice, the whole deal. So they were getting him ready to play right away.
Does it seem like he hadn't progressed the way they thought he should?
Probably not. I mean, I don't know what the expectations were. I know that based on his high school career, everybody thought he was going to come in here and play big. I mean, seriously, put me in that boat who thought he was going to come in here and win the job and be the man, just based on his high school credentials. So it hasn't worked out thus far. Now, you just can't throw away a guy's career after 6 games. He's a freshman. But how, listen, one thing about Muschamp that I've learned in the short time watching him, the guy does not make emotional decisions. In other words, he doesn't feel for you. He's not going to make his decision based on your feelings, or he's going to make a decision on one thing and one thing only. How can I win the next day? And if it means Jake Bentley takes every snap, he's going to play Jake Bentley. And if McElwain and his mom and them are upset about it, well, I mean, that's the life in college football. Look at what Clemson's facing starting next year. I mean, you got Zarek Cooper waiting in the wings. You've got what's his name? Who's been there for a couple of years, who doesn't play, the kid from Wren.
But they've been through it before with Deshaun and Swag Kelly.
Yeah, that for them, they got lucky because that worked its way out.
Yeah.
But now you also have Chase Bryce coming in, and you got the kid from Indiana coming in. These are all hot shot quarterbacks, and you can only really play one and be successful.
Here's the deal, though. Muschamp is also pragmatic, and he knows when he saw Jake Bentley take a shot on one of those blitzes Saturday, McElwain is one hit from having to go in there.
Well, you got to have a quality backup.
So you got to have quality guys ready to go.
But here's this: McElwain doesn't want to hear that. He doesn't want to hear that he's going to be the guy in waiting, the backup, waiting for somebody to get hurt for his chance to play. He has showed this year at times that he can move the football team. Remember, before Bentley, he had the only 2 touchdown passes of the season.
Yes.
Now, keep in mind, at times he was playing handicapped in that he had a banged up offensive line.
No Debo.
He had a banged-up wide receiver core. He didn't have many options. You didn't have Rico Dowdle to hand the ball to. So, I mean, I'm not saying it makes a hell of a lot of a difference because Bentley may be just a superior quarterback, but he does have more of a full complement of weapons at his disposal the last 2 weeks compared to McElwain. McElwain is a talent. He is a talented athlete. He is a smart person. They'll figure it out somehow, some way. The question is, how committed is he to wanting to be at South Carolina, or is he more committed about wanting to be a starting quarterback somewhere? That's what it's going to boil down to.
And of course, is also how committed he's going to be, because Jake Bentley, as I said, during the offseason, there's going to be that juggling act with baseball. Continues to do baseball.
Well, that's not going to help him in any football competition.
That's what I'm saying. But the key point is, I want to. This is for all freshman quarterbacks, in my opinion. A lot of freshman quarterbacks, Billy, in my mind, they're superior quarterbacks because they had superior talent around them in high school, and a lot of times those guys threw to guys who were either 1, 2, and maybe even 3 steps behind the defense. Now it comes that you have to throw people open. And there are times when you can see that Jake Bentley throws a ball when the guy seems like he's not open at all, and he runs to a spot and he makes the catch. It's when quarterbacks at the major college level catch up, they realize at some point that they're throwing in the windows and not throwing at guys. And I think Jake Bentley just has a head above McElwain as far as that learning curve is right now. What helps him out also is that extra 4.5 inches he has too, that creates angles where he can throw the football that maybe a McElwain can't. But that's not to say you can't roll McElwain out and have the same results.
How is this possible? I mean, I guess it's possible because it's right here in the stats. South Carolina has fallen back into last place nationally in scoring offense. How many did they score against Tennessee? 24? Yeah, I guess so. They've got their average up to 17 points per game, but they're still now – they had climbed to 127. Buffalo passed them. Buffalo's now averaging 18.1 points per game. The Gamecocks are averaging 17.8. So they're back in last place in the scoring in the country.
But statistics say 4-4, which means you got a heck of a defense. The last thing I'll say, Corn, about Jake Bentley is I thought Tennessee paid him the ultimate compliment early in the football game. After the third drive, Tennessee figured it out. You know what? We can't rush this young man with just our front four. He sees too much. Tennessee must have blitzed on every intermediate time or distance when it looked like it was a pass. They figured it out. We can't just rush 4 guys. This guy sees too much, and they blitzed every down. The only thing I had in that chess match was, when was South Carolina going to make them pay for blitzing? And, of course, late in that third quarter, Casey Crosby got behind him because that linebacker vacated that area, and he was wide open because Tennessee went out blitzing almost in every passing down. And they got burned that one key time when South Carolina had the touchdown that actually put the margin out of reach for Tennessee.
Here's a key reason why USC has at least a 4-4 record. Red zone defense, they're tied for 12th nationally. So they've given up some yards. They're 48th in total defense, which isn't bad. It's not great. It's not bad. But when you get inside the 30 on them, they've been pretty tough. So they have dropped back to last in scoring. Despite scoring, they're at 34, carry my 58 points in the last 2 games. So they're averaging 29 points per game in the last 2 games. The problem is the 3 games prior to that, they averaged about 13 points a game. So that's what put him in the hole.
The record says 4-4.
We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. David Shelton coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We'll catch up with him on the high school weekend that we just wrapped up. Seems like the playoffs are never going to get here, but they'll be here eventually, a couple of more weeks, and we'll get into the high school football playoffs here in South Carolina. I want to remind you that our friends at South Carolina Electric Cooperative want you to know about their program called Beat the Peak. This is a way for you to save a lot of money. Of course, you know, peak times when electricity is at its highest consumption, rates will go up. All of a sudden, you'll get your bill and you'll go, what? So there are ways to avoid that. And one way is to sign up for the Electric Co-op's Beat the Peak program. You sign up online, and what they'll do is they'll send you an alert on days where they expect a big peak of electrical use. And all you have to do is use a little less energy, hold off on washing the dishes, turn down the thermostat, you know, if it's cold, or I guess turn it up if it's whatever the deal may be. Anyway, and don't wash those clothes. So by doing these things, save, and you'll be able to help beat the peak. So to help beat the peak, visit EnergySmartSC.org/beat the peak. So let's see. If it's cool in your house, then turn it up. I mean, cool in terms of air conditioning, turn it up. Use less air conditioning because it's still warm. Or if it's cold in your house because it's cold and you want more heat, turn it up too. Or turn it down. Turn the heat down. Yeah. so you'll stay a little cooler. Whatever. That's why I have a wife to figure things like that out.
No, my point is just
I just say, hand me the remote and go fix the heat.
I do like I say. Everybody talk about saving money doing when I said every time that happens, I say I think England.
David,
I think England.
Oh yeah,
people in England don't turn up the heat; they put on a sweater.
Yeah,
that's what.
They don't even have air conditioning in England, do they? You just open the window. All right, quickly back to the phones, and then we'll get to David Shelton here on Sports Talk, and we're going to go to Hank in Columbia. Hello, Hank. How are you?
Hey, Corn. I was calling in. I enjoyed a Gamecock fan and enjoyed the game on Saturday. And Bentley played well. He's very heady. You kind of see that he's got a little bit of different something in him. When he had a scramble early in the game, and he had some Tennessee guys bearing down on him. And he faked them out a little bit by pointing like he had a blocker. They gave him enough time to get to the first down marker when there was nobody there. It's kind of like almost looked like he was a little bit more experienced than he is. But I really like Dowdle, the way he ran the ball, and I guess Pro would tell you how he ran both in between the tackles and when he got on the perimeter. I think he was really one of the stars of the game. And then Deebo Samuel. Everybody talked about him being injured and all, and the coaches kept on saying when he's healthy, he's a playmaker, and he truly was a playmaker because he made tough catches Saturday. So just wanted to hear Pro and your thought on it. And great win.
All right, thanks. Your Pro was there. I was at Clemson, Florida State, so he can talk more about it. I've watched the video, and yeah, it was a great one-handed catch he made with the receiver hanging all over him. It's kind of a little payback, I guess you could say, for the great catch that Tennessee made against South Carolina a couple of years ago in Knoxville. The kid went up
in his shoulder pad.
Yeah, and really, gave Tennessee a chance to win that game late. But Deebo Samuel, look, with the way they have emerged, Deebo Samuel, Hurst,
Casey Crosby,
and Edwards. Mm-hmm. That's a full complement of four good receivers. And when they get Rodriguez Davis back healthy, there's number 5 for you that you can work in there. So they got some weapons developing out there.
Yeah, but we saw Deebo last year make that one-handed catch against Clemson in the corner of the end zone. He's got the talent. The one thing was health, and that's the key. Why he's healthy, nobody can double team any side of the field because you get a dose of Edwards, then you get a dose of Deebo, and they both play well. But the key point with Deebo is you can always fake that jet sweep with him or use it, and they faked it a couple of times and were successful with the running game doing it.
All right, let's get to the high school report tonight, brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money, even if you received a quote before. Rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. We welcome in David Shelton of the High School Sports Report to a Sports Talk. Well, we should be wrapped up with the regular season, but we're not. We got a couple of more weekends to go. Going to be a lot of teams off this coming Friday night, and some teams are going to play, of course, because of rescheduled games. But this past Friday night, what really caught your eye around the state?
Well, Cane Bay getting beat. They were one of 2 4A teams still undefeated. Myrtle Beach is still undefeated, but Cane Bay got beat by Berkeley. Westside really handled T.L. Hanna pretty easily. Lauren's win over Greenwood was pretty solid, pretty good upset. And in Class A, Lamar really had a tussle with McBee. Had to go to overtime and had to kick a field goal to get it to overtime, then kicked a field goal to win it in overtime, and which begs the point of how many Class A schools actually have kickers who can make field goals.
Yeah.
Most of them. Well, back in the day, I would say 10 to 15 years ago, the guy that kicked off at a Class A game was usually the defensive tackle, and he tied his toe up to where he could kick it as deep as he could, and they always went for 2. But now you got guys in Class A that are kicking game-winning field goals. So that shows how the game's evolved. But going to be a good couple of weeks here before the playoffs. So I'm kind of excited about the weather's changing and the games are getting more important, and that makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, weather's changing. It's getting warmer. It feels like September out there.
Supposed to get a little cooler this weekend, but I think we're we're at least going to be in the 50s at night, which is closer to football weather.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Just looking over things here. Dutch Fork, what a powerful win for them. They put 58 on Irmo, and they're 9-0, 5-0, averaging about 41 a game, giving up 14 a game. I mean, he's got it rolling up there at Dutch Fork, and their goal is an unbeaten run to the state championship.
Yeah, and you know what? They're in the lower state, and they're in the lower state with Sumter and with Fort Dorchester. So, they're gonna have their hands full. Of course, they've already beat Fort Dorchester, but this is a different Fort Dorchester team than the one they beat back in early September. So I think, I still think Dutch Fork's the team to beat, and they're getting great play out of their quarterback, and they got a freshman running back, Ron Hoff, who is really, he's going over 150 every game. So they definitely got the weapons, good receivers too. So I mean, they're going to be hard to beat.
As I look ahead to this Friday night, just glancing through the schedule, some good games, but boy, one that really jumps out at you if you want to go see some great 1A football, a lot riding on it too. Lamar at Louisville. You got 9-0 Lamar against 8-1 Louisville. That should be a heck of a matchup.
Absolutely, and I've been saying all along I thought Lamar would go undefeated, but McBee put a scare in them, and Louisville is equally capable of putting a scare into Lamar. So that will be a good game, and it'll probably be the first of maybe two meetings, because maybe they'll meet again in the playoffs.
Yeah, things are starting to fall into shape. I got a bracket today showing some of the teams in 5A, for example. Looks like Westside will play Malden in the opening round, Lawrence and Woodmont, Beasley, Greenwood, Hillcrest, and Hannah. Looks like those are some of the pairings in the opening round of 5A.
Yeah, a lot of the pairings are coming out in the upper state. They're kind of everything's figured out. Lower state, we've got a bunch of stuff going on just because of we got to wait another week at least before, so some of these teams can catch up. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna, there's no cross bracketing this year. Everybody's excited about that because, normally you may not see a rematch in the first round like a Hillcrest, Greenwood, or whoever, because those teams would get matched up with lower state teams and vice versa. So, but I like the fact that we don't have cross bracketing. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, David, we got to run. Thank you, man. Be right back.
Being pressured. Being Palmer being pressured.
I don't know. It's not fun. It's not fun. It's really taking the fun out of the game for me, honestly. It really is, because at times today, and I apologize to the referee, who I was talking. I'm sorry, I try to get. That's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. As players in this league, we do something stupid, we get fined. If we do something derogatory to somebody else, we get fined. And I just can't keep accepting, oh, we missed that one, or I apologize for doing that, or I didn't see it. That's horse crap.
Score a touchdown with Founders Federal Credit Union, now opening Clemson at Founders. Clemson location on Highway 93 next to the Walmart Neighborhood Market. They also have 4 on-campus ATMs, 3 of which accept cash and check deposits. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. Might stop by there tomorrow when I'm up at Clemson for the press conference to say hello to the great people there at Founders Federal Credit Union. All right, Mick Mixon, the voice of the Panthers, in a moment. But first, the voice of the Panthers quarterback, Cam Newton, after the win yesterday, during which he took a low blow around the knees that upset a lot of people, including him.
I don't know. It's not fun. It's not fun. It's really taking the fun out of the game for me, honestly. It really is, because at times I don't even feel safe. Right. And enough is enough. I plan on talking to Commissioner Goodell about this, but it's not fun. And I don't know what I have to do. I mean, I showed a lot of frustration today, and I apologize to the referee, who I was talking to, but I don't think it's a person that can go through what I go through and still keep their head. You know what I'm saying? And hits to the head, that's one thing. But when you're not protected in the pocket, that's another thing. And the story of my life ever since I came in is just, well, we missed that one. I'm sorry. I try to get it. That's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. As players in this league, we do something stupid, we get fined. If we do something derogatory to somebody else, we get fined. And I just can't keep accepting, oh, we missed that one, or I apologize for doing that, or I didn't see it. That's horse crap.
All right, Cam Newton. Now that's what you got to do, Cam. Now after a win, you're a stand-up guy, and you speak your mind, and you probably have a point. You're taking some shots. That was a low shot, a dangerous shot, and you want some protection, and you want a team to be penalized. That's good stuff. So when you lose a game, you don't need to sulk away and not answer any questions. Be the same time and again. But besides that, he makes a great point, Pro. I think that you have to listen to what he says.
Yeah, and let's face it, the same thing happened early with the Falcons and Michael Vick. He would take shots coming out of there, and they started to complain. So yeah, the running quarterbacks is a dangerous, but I think it's the size factor. I thought one of the announcers said it best when he says it's almost like Shaq when they tried to figure out how to referee.
Yeah.
Shaq.
Well, that should not be a factor.
Yeah.
As we welcome into Sports Talk.
Palmer being pressured, bumped, slung down, ball loose. Ball got out of there. A Panther picks it up, rumbling down the far sideline. We will see. Thomas Davis, 15 to the 10. The 5 scores a touchdown.
The voice of the Panthers, Mick Mixon, good to have you with us. Good to have you back on the winning side of things. Winning, as we know, cures everything. What's the mood around BOA today after that win yesterday?
I think everybody's got it in a realistic kind of a construct, Corn. I think the players know, coaches know it was great. I mean, to beat a team that's got that kind of talent, Arizona's got win-it-all talent, a lot like the Panthers do. They're now 3-4-1 with the loss, but they're a good club. They stoned Seattle, just didn't win it on Sunday night in that 6-6 tie. So it feels good. Feels like a win and a half, maybe 2 wins in a way to get that good feeling back. But it is still a way to 500 from 2-5.
Yeah, you got to get to 500, and then you can start worrying about things after that. But did you see improvement in the areas where they most needed improvement?
Great question, and we'll talk about how mad we all are at your Green Bay Packers maybe later in the show for not taking care of business against Atlanta. That was a good game. It was fun to watch last night, by the way. But but to your question, Corn, exactly. In the back end, the violent, the pocket push from the tackles, that kind of a thrust with the 2 inside defensive linemen. Those were the 2 big areas. And the Panthers were clean on special teams as well. I mean, it's a little thing that wasn't exactly like he had a 100-yard punt return for a touchdown or anything, but just a clean special teams game helped the Panthers win that football game yesterday.
Is the feeling around the organization that the league is hearing what Newton is saying and they're going to do something about it?
Don't know. There was a story on Pro Football Talk this afternoon that said Newton ranks about the middle of the pack in calls that the league admits that it got wrong. Missed roughing the passer calls. Newton ranks about the middle of the pack. 12 quarterbacks, according to this league source. Don't know how accurate it is. I'm just quoting the story. Rank ahead of Cam Newton in missed calls. Apparently there were 3 that the league admits to missed roughing the passer calls from Cam Newton this year. That figure seems low, but I was listening to you guys while I was on hold, and I think you're right on it. It's hard to rough Cam Newton because of how big he is, but officials, even though they exist in human nature because they're humans, do not need to be bound by human nature.
Yeah, but shots at the knees are shots at the knees. I mean, it doesn't matter how big you are, and they can see a defender going low and hitting a guy at his knees.
Agreed. You could be the Jolly Green Giant, and that's still got to be a foul because it's black letter rule.
Yeah. Any injuries sustained, major injuries sustained yesterday?
Yeah, kind of some bad ones, Corn. Ryan Khalil dinged up a shoulder. I saw him. I walked past him today. He was taking some treatment, some stim in the training room, so hopefully he'll be okay. Kurt Coleman's got a chip bone in his thumb. They'll have a club on that, and he'll be able to play in Los Angeles. Shaq Thompson had an MRI today. Don't know the results of that on a sprained knee.
Kind of neat to go to L.A. and call a game from the old Coliseum, huh?
Yeah, it's a long flight, so I'll be expert in Skyway Magazine. Let me know if you need anything, by the way, for holiday gifts.
Yeah, jewelry will be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, just rubies and emeralds. I got it.
Yeah. Well, have a safe trip, and thank you for being with us. And we remind everybody around our state that you'll be on with the coach and others coming up here at the top of the hour. Have a great show.
Appreciate it, Corn. Good talking to you guys.
You too, my man. Thank you. The voice of the Panthers, Mick Mixon.
Well, the other key point is they talk about having Benjamin back, but now I think they figured out that they have an equally as tall receiver in Funchess, and they're using him a little bit more. I think you have to. And I think Cam is getting more comfortable in just throwing it up and let guys get it. They're much taller than people, and they got that pass rush going. And they really do need that pass rush for those neophytes in the secondary.
Yeah.
And that's the key to them getting back to maybe making a wild card that they can make a strong run if they don't overtake the division, which they still can.
You got to go to the Rams. I think that's winnable out there. You got the Rams, and you got the Chiefs coming to town. You got the Saints coming to town. Ooh, then back out to the West Coast for the Raiders. Boy, that's just some weird scheduling.
And the Raiders are playing. Yeah, because
outstanding. How about being 5-0 on the road? The Raiders this year.
Yeah,
5-0.
But the interesting thing is, I think probably the Raiders are tearing a page out of a lot of teams' books now. Like when the Falcons had to play Denver and Seattle, they just stayed out there. in that time zone.
Yeah.
See what happens to the Panthers schedule is it would have been more beneficial for them to have to play the Rams and then the Raiders the next week in Oakland and just stay out.
Well, look
there.
at this. They got to go to the Rams, back home to the Chiefs, home to the Saints, back out to the West Coast for the Raiders, back out for the Seahawks. Maybe they'll stay out there after they go to
I would assume that
play
would
the
be
Raiders.
The best thing.
I wonder how Mick would enjoy that. That's a lot of trips to the West Coast. Did not realize he'd gotten it lined up that way. Okay, that will do it. Thank you for being with us tonight. We have thoroughly enjoyed it. Have a great Halloween. It's a Talking Tuesday tomorrow here on Sports Talk. You'll hear from Dabo Sweeney, Will Muschamp, and others here on Sports Talk. Thank you, Pro. Thank you, Jar March. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.